Hey, what's up everybody, Nexel here. Today we are playing Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, and unfortunately I just did 4 pulls from the Anti-Aqua banner, but unfortunately the file got corrupted and it kind of cut off the video. So I did it so that I could roll more traits on my Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua. I was kind of scared that this would be more or less the last time I'd get traits on the medal, since I really wouldn't get any 6-star versions. They don't exist. And then they'd have to make like a trait board for her in order for me to get more traits. So I kind of thought this was my last time to be able to do it. So I did 4 pulls. So we're kind of going to do a weird thing where I kind of go through like my weird screenshots. So I screenshot everything, as you guys know. So this was my first pull, and really I didn't get anything. I got like a 7-star Gothel, which was pretty good, a 7-star Marine Roomba. But really the big thing to take here is I got a trait for Buzz and then 2 Anti-Aqua traits. And the first one came out max gauges, and I was like, that's alright. Like, it's a reverse medal, so max gauges is always pretty okay. So I overrode the poison resist, and then we finally got 1 strength trait on this medal that is in the pet. So after, I think this was after 8 traits, one of them finally turned up strength. So that was super cool. And then I was like, you know what, I'm not satisfied with that, so we're gonna go ahead and do 2 more, or I'm sorry, 1 more pull. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, gosh, at this point I'm just chasing traits. Like, I'm spending like a lot of jewels on this. So really, like, 2 pulls when you think about it in like terms of dollar value. So when you look at the jewel box, like 100 jewels is like $1 pretty much. So spending 60 jewels is like spending $60, and I was like, oh boy, like I was starting to feel bad about it a little bit here, because I'm like, oh gosh, I'm like chasing for traits. Like, that's something you don't want to do in this game, is really chase for traits. Because they could turn out bad. Like, they could turn out not super good, and then it's just like, well, what did I really spend my jewels for? Like, I could have saved it for something like an avatar board or something like that. So like for this one, that Rock Titan, yeah, it's boosted, but the thing is that while that's nice, like, you don't want extra attack on it, ironically. It costs 4 gauges to use, and then it consumes all your gauges regardless of how many are left. So if you had extra attack on the Rock Titan, I was like, oh gosh, that'd be bad, because the first activation would go off, but the second wouldn't, because you wouldn't have the gauges for it. So this pull ended up just being really about the traits again, because the Gothel, that's okay. We've got an extra trait roll on our hero. We've gotten like a few trait rolls on like Gula, Illustrated Riku. We got a 7-star Baymax. So good stuff all around, but not, I don't think it was worth like the amount. So I rolled on the Rock Titan, got defense plus 2,000, and then this is what I mean, where chasing traits really doesn't pay off sometimes, because I rolled, I got max HP plus 800, and then I got defense plus 2,000, and it's just like the 2 traits, which were really what would make or break the pull if it was worth the value, just went straight down the flusher. So it's like, oh geez, there goes 3,000 jewels. So I was like, you know what, I'm still not satisfied, which is where my thought process started to go really, really bad, because then I was just pulling for traits, and I was like, oh gosh, I shouldn't really be doing this to myself. So I did another one. I finally got, I guess, a 7-star max gilted version of HD Axel, which I'm surprised I hadn't gotten by this point. Like, that medal came out like 2 years ago, so I'm surprised I didn't get it by this point. So finally got that. We got a boosted Herc, which is okay, no big deal. But really, this pull was really subpar, because really what made it valuable is the traits, and then yeah, there's the Axel, and then one of the traits was sleep resist, and I was like, oh goodness, we're just chasing traits. And then the other one was damage and raids. I was like, oh no, this is not the HD, or I'm sorry, this is not the Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua that's got all the raid traits on it. Oh no. So I was kind of freaking out at this point. I was just like, oh gosh, we just wasted essentially 9k jewels. And then I told myself, I was like, all right, you know what, I'm gonna stop. It's no big deal. I'll just stop here. I'm good. And then I looked at the banner one last time, and I was like, oh wait, I'm 1 away from the Mercy right now. So I was like, all right, you know what? We're just gonna do the Mercy, guarantee ourselves the tier 9, and we got the only one we didn't have, which is that Guardian Form Sora. So I actually never had a Guardian Form Sora prior to this, so it's nice to have one in my collection. The only trade-off is that it's not gonna have any traits, and that is not what you want. You want a medal with good traits on it, because that's what's gonna be passing content. Naturally, you do want tier 9s. They are gonna be doing a lot of damage, but in order to go that extra mile to get where you want to be in this game, you have to have good traits. So that's where we were at. And then we did 1 roll for the the Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua, and we got extra attack, which is super good. Not better than aerial or strength, in my opinion, just because I have to now put like a gauge skill on this. But still a really, really good trait. So we're actually going to replace one of these paralysis resists just because the max gauges might be relevant now that it's going to have extra attack on it. So now we've got one trait left. I want to replace either the max gauges or the paralysis resist. But let's see what we can pull off here. Alright, one more trait on our Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua. Let's hope it'll be good, and this would be a nice way to wrap up the video if we got one final good trait on our Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua. Of course, we're going to no-looker it. We're hoping for aerial or strength. Okay, we got the strength. All right, there we go. So, it looks like this thing is going to hit hard. So, we are going to replace... I want to replace paralysis resist. This medal is really not for, like, buffing, or it's not for, like, the resist. Yes, it is for PvP for sure. So in that sense, paralysis resist is fine. But you want your resist to be on like your non-damaging medals, like the ones pretty early on that you just kind of have. So let's go ahead and replace paralysis resist. That's totally fine. The gauges I want to keep because the problem with my medals right now is that I don't have really good reverse magic medals. And my Diamond Dust is clocking out at pretty much only like 14 gauges right now. So that gauge plus 2 can make a big difference when it comes to having enough gauges to do things really. But now I'm kind of rethinking it because I'm like, oh gosh, gauges is fine, but that's like the only scenario where I would need it. Like I don't think I would need it for 3 wishes. I definitely wouldn't need it for fairy stars. Oh, this is kind of a pickle. I actually think I keep the paralysis resist. This one's kind of a hard call because it's like having it there helps, especially since I want to use this for PvP. But the gauges is really big too because it's reverse blue. You know what? I think I keep the paralysis resist. Paralysis is definitely one of the better resists in PvP, so I think that's the way to go. So let's hope we can do this, and I don't regret it. So this is my final Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua. It's got paralysis resist 20%, strength plus 4,000, extra attack 40%, and ground enemy defense minus 60. So I am happy with this. No more trait rollings. I'm glad we were able to get like one of our desired traits on our very last one. So with that being said, that is kind of like my story of how I did more pulls tonight. Ended up with only 11,750. Luckily, it's almost that time of the month where I'm about to bank all my presents. So if my game would load, I'd love to show you. So I had this in one of my earlier videos, like how to save jewels, and I have all my presents just kind of stacked up. These are all my daily logins, Shirthy Minis, all those things. This little promotional one where it's like they kind of screwed up, so they gave us some jewels. No real big presents in the past month, unfortunately, but we did have like a pretty fantastic anniversary. Not only that, another way I save jewels is by keeping these avatar boards. So let me see if I could pull them up. I actually don't know where they put the 5,000 jewels ones, these guys, so the level 450s, level 400, so I kind of keep these off to the side, really for a super rainy day. So technically I kind of have like 15k just banked up, saved on the side for right now, but yeah, so that's how I'm saving jewels, and that is my Kingdom Hearts 3 Anti-Aqua final pulls. We got the Guardian Form Sora on our third Mercy, and then 2 Anti-Aquas, one that is for strength purposes and one that is for raid purposes. So with that being said, that is the end of this video. Thank you all so much for watching. If there are any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to drop them down in the comments below, and I'd be happy to answer when I have the time. But as always, everyone, until next time, take it easy.